First, we have Erotica Veronica by Miya Folick. And this was your selection, Karl.
So Miya Folick, American singer-songwriter who I discovered through one of my favourite festivals, which I can probably put up there, Dot to Dot. She played there around the time of her brilliant Strange Darling EP, which really loved that project. And just kind of followed her from there. Enjoyed her after that debut, Premonitions. And then, really loved her last project, Roach, which was kind of like even a bigger step up, I'd say. Ended up in my top 20 for the year. And some, just really outstanding cuts on that album, like Get Out of My House, Mommy, 2007, Tether Ball, Shortstop, so many great tracks on that record. Can't recommend that one enough. And so, I went into this one knowing to expect another solid effort, I think. I think she's just one of those artists that, typically delivers. I think overall, maybe it is just a slight step down from its predecessor. But that said, though, I'd say, this is another great collections of songs for me. Obviously, Erotica, a wonderful opener, the title track here, and it's just like that perfect tone setter for the rest of the project to follow. La Da Da, which I didn't like at first, but it's growing on me now. It was at first I was like, oh, this one's a bit irritating. But no, I've grown to love that song. It's kind of got like a bit of Alanis Morissette going on, bit of the Cranberries coming through as well.
Very much like my notes, that those two artists.
Yeah, so it's definitely got those shades coming through, which is obviously a good thing. And then Alaska after that, just really gorgeous and heartfelt. Felicity, you've got just a bit more of a pop groove, and you've got like this playful instrumentation going on it's got those wonderful synths that come in as well. And then you hit straight after you get hit with aptly titled Fist, which, excuse the second pun, packs one hell of a punch. That song, definitely one of my favorites on here for sure. It's got like, just the guitars and those blood curdling, like angsty screams that come out in the back end. It reminded me of What Makes Porridge Radio's music so impactful.
My notes as well.
Yeah, it's definitely got that kind of that angsty punch to it. Just a really strong first half for me, and then the second half maybe doesn't quite hit the same heights, but there's still, I'd say it's kind of like retreading the same steps in terms of what she does in that back half, but there's still some great moments on there. Hate Me, and then the standout in the back end for me is Love Wants Me Dead. Just the guitar and then the vocal work in the outro to that song is just, it's got that great guitar solo on there, and it's just really powerful, really soaring song. And then shortly after you get Light Through the Linen, which is kind of the flip side. It's just like this really subtle and quite intimate send off. She kind of goes through all these different textures, and it's quite eclectic. And I'd say, although for me maybe not as strong as Roach, or at least not yet. More time I spend with it, I might change my tune. But for me, it's still a very decent record. Maybe a slightly patchier listen, but certainly still some very strong and impactful moments as you're going through that kind of make it worthwhile for me. And I just really continue to enjoy Mia's work and her creativity each time she brings something out.
Yeah, I mean, as I interjected a couple of times there, we seem to have fairly similar notes, and my review probably doesn't veer much from what you've sort of shared there. All those tracks which you mentioned, I've really enjoyed. There's very much that kind of 90s alt rock kind of vibe, and as you say, sort of Alanis Morissette, Cranberries, and then on the kind of sort of more intense moments, Porridge Radio, who easily we could have referred to at the beginning as well, of course, with bringing out their final EP, which I just haven't listened to enough to be able to bring into the mix. But I mean, Felicity, I think musically is one of the more interesting moments. Kind of reminded me a little bit of field music, going back with their Open Arms album a few years ago. Hate Me for me is the standout, and just like a lot of the songs, very catchy. Kind of an apology of sorts to her former lovers, and her quest for independence in her life that is suffocating if she's in a relationship, seems to be what comes across there. There's a lot on relationships, and I kind of like, I think half of the tracks I kind of feel the lyrics are fantastic, and half of them kind of quite middle of the road for me, kind of, teenagers' diaries type thing. But I really like La Da Da. I gotta say it. And Alaska is probably the one which just stayed with me actually the most. You often have, I'm sure you're the same, but like, just go through my day and just music lodges itself in your brain. And I had Alaska for a couple of days when I hadn't listened to it for a few days. I was like, who sings that song? That's fantastic. And then like listen back when I was doing the review, I was like, that's who sings this song. So that one is really real highlight here. A few. I mean, a couple I'm less bothered about. Hypergiant, I suppose, and even like Through the Linen. I just don't feel there's enough of a punch with that to sort of send it off. This time around as well, they're probably on the lower end of the spectrum, but in general, it's a high bar. Her vocals are fantastic, and I think probably the kind of standout. I would have liked a bit more variety and intrigue in the music, and I suppose lyrically could be sharper in some of the songs, I would say. But yeah, it's kind of an easy listen in a way. It's one I could always just stick on and just enjoy. And from the first play, that's what I felt really. So it might not sort of reveal itself too much more even than what you have on that first one, but it's a really solid album. And since your recommendation 2 years ago, Karl, I think this kind of validates that. So there we go.